Okay, everyone. So Triple H offered a little bit of a sneak peek on WWE's road to Netflix. Here's what he posted.
That's like the most.
Rehearsals up, Jenny, grab this, please. And we are rehearsing. Roll video. Ready, and action. And we cut on rehearsal.
So the first time I watched this video, I didn't know what the heck was going on. So I had to go in, I wanted to read some articles to see if anyone else knew. And this is from CagesideSeats.com. A post from Chief Creative Officer Paul Triple H Levesque doesn't really provide answers to those questions, but it does whet the appetite for answers with a quick video of a rehearsal during or along with a call for patience and a teaser for the alliance's kickoff in a couple months. We're guessing that the footage involves the aforementioned documentary series or maybe a new Raw Open. Let us know what you think and how excited you are for the Netflix era in the comments below. So that's from Cage Side Seats in their article about this. So that gives us a little bit of background because I have no clue. I watched it multiple times. Was like, I'm confused. Maybe I'm stupid, but that's how I felt about it. And I can't wait for this Netflix thing because I think WWE can really expand. And I think WWE really has to take advantage of this. I saw in the comments to what Triple H put out, on Twitter, I saw one comment that said something like this would hit. This is from, yeah. So this guy tweeted out something like this would hit, and it's a video of the Raw is War Raw intro. And it made me think, obviously they're not going to put the Raw is War intro back in, but it made me think that's exactly what we need is the Netflix era, the beginning of it. It has the opportunity to be what the Attitude Era was in a sense. It doesn't mean it's going to be the Attitude Era, right? It doesn't mean it's going to copy the Attitude Era, but it's going to, in its own way, be a really big time era that we look back on and we're like, that was a great time. And I think the beginning of going on Netflix is a perfect time to reorient the audience, to grow the brand. Because another thing that I'll point out is another interesting thing about WWE is that if you go back and you watch during the Attitude Era, wrestling, and you watch the coverage of it, and, it was really something that took over pop culture. It was kind of counterculture, and people liked it, and some people really didn't like it. But the point was, it was like invading all these different spaces, right? It was just going off, and it was just in every, you had kids wearing this stuff to school, and then you had people mad about that, and you had people wanting to have WWE boycotted, just a bunch of different stuff, right? As it's gotten bigger, and it's obviously way bigger than it was during the Attitude Era in the sense of the company is way bigger, and, I mean, during the Attitude Era, they were almost going out of business because they were, taking on WCW, but then they got out of it. But I think now it's so big and the wrestlers are so kind of intertwined with society already, it doesn't feel like it has that same impact in a way. And so I'm hoping Netflix can kind of bring a new audience and get it back to that in a way where it's like, hey, this is really a cool product. This is really something that people, should be talked about even more than it already is. And I think so far they've done a really good job with, like you heard what Eric Bischoff said about, listen, you can have the Attitude Era without having the downsides of it. You can, the Attitude Era, you don't want to try to replicate it. You can't. It was something that happened naturally, and it was something that the WWE needed to do to survive. But what you can replicate is this idea of we're going to be authentic and we're going to put on a good show. You can replicate that, and it doesn't mean you have to go back to doing things like just like basically it was what TVMA, right? Just really pushing the limits. You could push the limits without having to do what the Attitude Era did, and I love the Attitude Era. It will always have a special place in my heart, but I don't need it to be that. If you go back and try to copy Stone Cold and The Undertaker, and I guess The Rock's still wrestling, but The Rock back then and Triple H when he was wrestling, if you go back and you try to copy that, you're going to fail because those guys aren't currently wrestling. You need to be authentic with the guys you have on this roster. have hardcore matches, have Hell in the Cell, let your guys swear a little bit. Doesn't mean you have to copy things from the Attitude Era. And I think this Netflix deal gives them a reset. It's going to give them a whole new set of eyes. And it's not that people can't, go onto the USA Network to watch wrestling. It's that people are just, they're finding their content in different ways. Netflix is going to allow for them to find it in a different way, and that's why they're doing the deal. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.